Wednesday, May 7th. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, Free Comic Book Day 2008.
Let's do this.
This is going to be a somewhat difficult show for me to do. You see, we're making VLTs tonight, so Emily got it to make some fresh bread. And she put the fresh bread right next to me, and it's sitting there, and I can smell it.
I thought it was wrapped in a bath towel, but it's actually some sort of colorful...
Yes, Scott is not used to nice napkins, so when he sees a nice napkin, he assumes it's a bath towel.
It's just it looks like a dish towel, actually.
Not so much.
Yeah.
It looks like a napkin.
It's pretty colorful for a napkin.
But I'll tell you one thing. If you're out there, not many of you are podcasters, but imagine trying to podcast when there's fresh bread that you're not allowed to eat yet right next to you.
What if it's the bakery cast and you're the baker?
You know what? If you're a baker, I think you're either immune to the effects of the smell of fresh bread or you're obese.
Both? You mean you got immune by getting obese?
I don't know if I could get immune, though. I could just eat bread until I died.
Well, let's quit and become bakers. Let's open up a bakery.
I remember one or two times when I worked at that Tabella's when we lived at RIT for that summer, I was the baker. Like, I assisted the baker. I get in at 6 in the morning and make the bread, and basically make the bread meant I stood there while the baker did everything, and then I cleaned up after him. The smell was painful, and I stole like 2 loaves and ate them. Anyway, since we're not going to talk about anime for the rest of this show, I'll at least point out that I'm watching a show that we're probably going to talk about sometime soon on the train.
Mm-hmm.
Watching that Princess Tutu.
Oh, that one. Okay.
It's interesting. And what I want to say is I like it. I do like it. But what Laura said when she gave it to me sums it up best. Princess Tutu is a show that you can enjoy and get a lot out of, so long as you go into it knowing that it is a show where people fight via ballet. And when Anteaterina, good God, it's interesting.
Swan Lake Attack?
You know, you'd think that, but it's more like, by doing ballet with you, I have learned the secrets of your heart, and now I do something magical to steal your heart because I know the secret.
It's like Utena, only with ballet instead of swords.
And with much less subtlety.
Oh, subtlety was important in Utena because, well, without the subtlety...
You get the movie.
It would have been, yeah, pretty much.
But it's like, imagine if Utena every character in Utena was either Wakaba or Nanami.
Of course, Utena's subtlety, you know, there's a question is it actually subtlety or is it just sort of unintentional vagary or intentional vagary?
Well, the fact that it all comes together in the end definitely leans toward the former, but
yeah.
I don't know about Princess Tutu. I got to see more. I haven't gotten past the point where people say it gets good, but it's already pretty good, so...
Well, I've downloaded a whole bunch of anime. I'm going to start going through all those new episodes and new shows, and I also watched the first DVD of that Kaze no Yojimbo.
Yep, second DVD's on the way.
Which is a show I watched a long time ago, completely forgot and watched again, but I sort of feel like maybe we should watch, like, Yojimbo, and also watch like Fistful of Dollars, and then sort of do like a Yojimbo like try show. Like
I feel like each one could merit its own show.
I know, but like I feel like we should do the 3 like in a row or something. Like, you know, I don't know.
When are we gonna have to? We haven't even watched Strange Days yet.
We'll watch it.
It's still sitting there
this weekend or something.
Oh, that movie's like 10 years old.
All
Actually,
right.
12.
Yeah.
All right, so I think that's it for anime today.
Okay. Yeah. So it's time for Scott's Box. Oh no, you people wanted me to do. We wanted to do Scott's Box when I got the box, as opposed to when I ordered the next box.
Which I think is the superior option.
Well, that's what the people voted for, and unlike, I guess, in other parts of the world, what you vote for is what you get with Geeknights. Anyway.
Are you kidding? We pretty much ignore anytime someone votes for like a banning or anything in the forum.
Shush, I'm trying to be like other parts of the world and give the people the impression their vote counts.
Okay.
All right, so let's start with, let's see what came in the box.
What came in Scott's box?
All right, so I'll do the issues. I'll do the issues first, then I'll do the trades. Let's see what we got
I think
here.
we need some Scott's box music.
I guess so. I don't know. We have to make. I think it should have lots of percussion to resemble the box. Maybe I should like just bang like a beat on a cardboard box that has full of peanuts, and that'll be it.
I could make a drum loop.
I guess. All right. So the first thing I got here, DC Universe 0. Why did I get this?
It was 17 cents.
No, the cover price is 50 cents. I paid 12 cents. This is sort of, from what people have been saying, I haven't read it yet. I haven't read any of this yet because I read all the free comic books we're going to talk about in the second half of the show instead. This is sort of like, DC's about to go nuts with all sorts of crises that they go nuts
Again.
with. Well, every summer there's crises, who knows, right? And this is sort of like, if you haven't been paying attention, like this is like, sort of wraps up what was going on and sort of brings you into the new with like little tiny, like there's a little Batman bit, there's a little Wonder Woman bit, there's a little Superman bit, a little Green Lantern bit, and it's sort of like, here's all the bits to sort of catch you up and, sort of pull you into the next thing. That's what it's supposed to be. All right. We got Soleil Free Sampler. Remember I was talking about how I was going to get the Sky Doll from Marvel to support their European comic endeavors? Right?
That's right. I still we got that short interview we did with the people who were pushing French comics at the New York Comic Con.
All right, well, Marvel has this sort of like Soleil thing they're doing, and they've got Sky Doll, Universal War 1, Samurai, and Scourge of the Gods, right? And I ordered the 3 issues of Sky Doll, but the other one I'm interested in, the Universal War 1, is 6 issues, so I'll probably wait for the trade on that. But they sent me a free sampler. It's like Soleil free sampler, and it gives me little bits of each of these 4 European comics Marvel's going to put out so I can see what they're like and decide if I want to buy them. So maybe I won't even order that Universal War whatever. All right, we got that second part of the 3-part Logan Wolverine series that I'm only getting because it's written by Brian K. Vaughan, and Brian K. Vaughan means automatic buying.
But does it mean automatic good?
Usually. He's the Why the Last Man Runaways guy. He's an Ex Machina guy.
See, I really like Ex Machina. I really didn't like Why the Last Man.
I don't think you read enough of it.
It really went downhill for me pretty much right away.
Anyway, he's never done anything bad.
I can't say that it's bad. It just, I felt it was kind of dumb.
Yep. We got Marvel Comics Presents number 8, the only book that I buy every month. So you're going to hear that on Scott's book box every month until they stop printing it. All right, check this out. I bought this based on 2 things. I bought this based on the title and based on the price, which is less than $1. The title is I Was Kidnapped by Lesbian Pirates from Outer Space. How can you not buy that?
Well,
even if it was $5, how can you not buy?
I flipped through it.
I was kidnapped by lesbian pirates from outer space.
I didn't read it, but I flipped through it, and you know what it's about?
Someone who was kidnapped by lesbian pirates from outer space.
It looked kind of good, actually.
Yeah, I know. For $1, can't go wrong. I mean, if it's good, I'll wait for the trade. Why not?
It looked slightly more than $1 worth of good.
Yeah, and the art style actually really, that's my kind of style. Sort of like old school, kind of hip kind of thing going on. All right. I got Wonderlost number 2 by C.B. Cebulski. If you don't know C.B. Cebulski, right? I wanted to talk to him at the New York Comic Con, and he had an artist alley table, but he was always there when I wasn't there, so I never actually got to talk to him. But me and him have a lot in common. He and I don't know, have a lot in common. You see, he grew up in the Connecticut. I grew up in the Connecticut.
You know, a lot of people grew up in Connecticut.
He likes the comics. I like the comics. I think he was involved with like CPM, and he's sort of like, he knows about the animes and the mangas. I'm also into the animes and the mangas. C.B. Cebulski is my kind of guy. He did all those like, Spider-Man fairy tales, X-Men fairy tales things from Marvel. He's done a lot of good stuff. And Wonderlost is sort of like his autobiographical, like childhood stories thing. Well, more like teenage years stories. So like, there's this story where like he makes out with some girl in his car outside of the Wonderland of Ice ice rink. And I've been to the Wonderland of Ice rink because I grew up in Connecticut.
Did you make out with anyone there?
No,
Oh.
sadly.
Oh.
But that was in issue 1 of Wonderlost. So of course I'm going to buy issue 2 of Wonderlost. And the last issue I got was this Glamour Puss number 1 by Dave Sim. He's the Cerebus guy, right? And basically, I bought this for the art because if you say nothing else about Dave Sim, he has the art skills. But Cerebus is supposed to be like this ultra famous indie comic that's like 300 issues long. And I read the first 2 like phone books of it. You might not, know what it is, but once you see the phone books, like you'll recognize it because you've seen it before. And it was painful. Like reading that second trade was like dragging my brain through a marsh.
Why did you even bother?
because it's so famous. I felt like, I was obligated. The thing is,
that's how I felt about Great Expectations, and I cut and ran well before.
But basically, I've actually found out recently that Dave Sim is actually like this horrible, horrible misogynist dude. So, yeah, we'll see what this thing's about, because it's supposed to be about, like, women's parody on women's fashion, something from a misogynist. So we'll see what that's about. I guess I gotta view the guy sort of like Mike Tyson, where even though his skills at work might be awesome, he's not a good person. All right, that's the end of the issues. Let's look at them trades. Mushishi Volume 3. Mushishi the anime was awesome. And Mushishi the manga, the first 2 volumes, were pretty much the same as the anime. Like, I wasn't getting anything more or less by reading the manga. And so, unless this manga goes and tells stories that the anime didn't tell, I sort of feel like I might stop buying it.
Well, part of what made the anime so great was that the animation was just amazing.
It was super amazing.
It was, to quote ourselves, it was animated in twosies.
Yeah. Well, Emily told us that, right? Is that right? Yeah. Yeah,
something like
that. She said it was right. Okay, so
but also it was just the sound and the atmosphere, and it was just there was a lot, and it was very subtle and slow, and I liked it.
Yeah, the only thing in this manga that I don't get in the show is the funny, little omake in the back or whatever it is. So, it's a good manga. If you haven't seen the show and you like manga more than you like anime, you should probably get this, because it's just as awesome. It's the same stories, same characters.
All things being equal, if you're a fan of both, I think I'd recommend the anime.
Yeah, I think if this volume doesn't really do something awesome that the anime didn't do, I'm just gonna stop and maybe buy the anime DVDs sometime in a box set. Okay, we got this thing. Super Real Graphics presents Gnome. And this actually, because I ordered it from my pre-order place, came with a free sketch of the gnome character this is by Dave Dwan.
So a gnome with a G, like gnome?
Yes, it's like the story is, right? Here, I'll read the back. Ready? Believed to be simple yard decoration, these garden gnomes once roamed the earth as its greatest protectors. Long ago, a curse was placed upon them, petrifying them until the day they were needed to protect the earth once more. In 1956, the world was in peril, and one lonely gnome answered the call. So this is the adventures of a garden gnome come to life defending the world in the late 50s. Or the mid to late 50s.
I don't know about that.
I don't know about it either, but it was cheap, and it came with a free sketch. And the sketch is actually pretty high quality, so...
I realize that your rationale for buying a lot of these comics is getting to the point where you can't make fun of Scott Johnson for his deal hunting anymore.
I don't know about that, because
How many times is there a conversation, why did you buy that show? It was only 50 cents if I bought 10.
Yeah, but his DVDs are like $5, not 50 cents. If the DVD is 50 cents, then it would be okay.
I don't know.
And the only other thing is that he watches those DVDs and he likes them. I read comics that are, if that lesbian Pirates of Outer Space was bad, I would say...
But that's probably good.
I know, but okay, if the DC Universe number 0 is bad, I'll say it's bad, even though I spent 12 cents on it. All right.
I get 12 cents.
Yeah. All right, so Osamu Tezuka's Dororo, number 1, Vertical, Tezuka. I'm going to repeat this till the end of time here, right? They sent me a free copy. I still bought a copy anyway. And this actually, I read this already because I read the free copy when I got it. I think it's the only thing in Scott's box I've read already. And this is actually kind of different from Tezuka's. I mean, it's still Tezuka styling, but story-wise, it's unlike any of Tezuka's other stuff. And I'm really liking this. This might be my second or third favorite Tezuka manga there is. It's so good.
I don't know. More and more, I really like Apollo's song. I don't know why I like it so much.
Apollo's song's good, but it's not holy crap.
Well,
good.
no, it's not. It's no name like 5 other works, but
all right. I bought the complete Persepolis. Remember we saw the movie?
The movie was good, but Emily was reading the comic, and I was flipping through. I read the first bit of the comic, and the comic makes it all a lot more, I don't know, realistic.
Yeah, I haven't read the comic yet, as I said, but this is the whole thing in one book, and I got 30 or 40% off, so
I like
the movie. We'll see what the book is like.
I imagine it'll warrant a review, or at least a geek bite in and of itself.
Oh, yeah, definitely. All right.
Waiting for Scott to continue to go through his box.
All right, I got Whiteout, Volume 1 and 2, a new printing by Oni Press. This is written by Greg Rucka. I found out about Greg Rucka when I read Gotham Central. And if you've never heard of Gotham Central, it was this DC comic about the police in Gotham City. So Batman's there, but very little. He's barely there. It's mostly about the police in the city dealing with all the shit that Batman does or doesn't deal with, right?
Now, that's kind of up my alley because
It is. It's Gotham Central is over. Like, you can just go out and buy all the trades and get the whole thing, and you don't have to understand any DC bullshit. Like, if you've seen one Batman movie, you know more than enough. You know more than you need to know to
hell,
understand.
forget a movie. Just watch one episode of Beat-Ass.
Yeah, if you watch one episode of Batman the Animated Series, you know more than enough to understand what's going on in Gotham Central if you read, like, you know, the little forward in the first volume. And it's super awesome. And it's Greg Rucka and Ed Brubaker, I think, did that. So then I got, like, these volumes of Queen and Country, right, from somebody. And I read the first 3 volumes of that, and it was Greg Rucka, and also, like, Brian Lee O'Malley did the art on an issue, and
Snap.
yeah, it's basically like sort of like a spy, you know, secret missions against terrorism kind of story about, like, this, you know, British group of people or whatever. And that was really good. So I'm like, huh. And I sort of figured out that Greg Rucka is the shit. So now Greg Rucka, I think, is on the automatic buy list. So they reprinted. I had the first 3 volumes of Queen and Country, right? But now they came out with these Queen and Country definitive editions, which are much newer, better printings and fewer volumes for less money. And I figured out that if I just get rid of the 3 volumes I have and buy these definitive editions, I'll get the whole series for less money than if I just bought the rest of the normal existing volumes. So actually, in my hands, I just got in Scott's box Queen and Country definitive edition 1 and 2. And Greg Rucka Whiteout 1 and 2. All from Oni Press, all new printings, all awesome. Okay. Almost done.
Almost?
Almost. Okay. This is, I don't know if this is going to be good or not, but I got The Avengers Kree Skrull War. Now, you know, when I was a kid, I read Marvel comics. And nowadays, I still read a few bad Marvel comics, and a few good ones, too. But there's always references, especially in, like, the outer space, because I like the outer space ones, like Silver Surfers and Adam Warlocks and whatnot. And there's references to the Kree Skrull War. Like in Captain Marvel, you got it going on, you know. And there's always these references to it. But I've never actually read the Kree Skrull War. And I assumed maybe it's an old comic, it's probably bad, because I read Secret Wars and that was bad. But I said, you know what? They're printing a new trade of it. It's, you know, and I'll check it out and I'll see what actually happened in the Kree Skrull War.
I imagine there's a lot of people declaring what they're about to do as they do it.
Yep. Okay, we got another Marvel comic here, Deadpool Classic. Now, Ian, our friend, was a huge fan of Deadpool, right? And I recognize Deadpool. I know what he looks like. And I've only ever read like 1 or 2 Deadpool comics in my life. And he's sort of just like, you know, really powerful mutant assassin badass guy, sort of like that 90s Cable styling, you know.
See, for
Not
whatever
really.
reason, I liked Cable.
Yeah, that doesn't really appeal to me that much. What appeals to me is that it seems like Deadpool is like the wise, crackingest guy in the universe, and he's
Wait a minute. What about Spidey?
No, he's like Spidey times 1,000.
How could that be?
Trust me, you read a well-written Deadpool comic, and it's like everything he says will have you peeing in your pants. I've read like, like I swear to God.
Are you sure you're not just incontinent?
I'm pretty sure. Like,
Read some of this Transformers and see if you're peeing.
he's just that witty. So I said, you know what? I've never actually read a lot of Deadpool comics. You know, I've never actually, and they printed this Deadpool Classic Volume 1. So I said, what better way to check and see if, you know, my remembering Deadpool being hilarious was true than to buy this volume. Okay, Jonah Hex, Only the Good Die Young, volume, I guess this is volume some number, but they don't put the number on it. They're giving it a name, which is appropriate, because Jonah Hex is a Western comic that DC puts out, and it's sort of like, you know, it's a new one. Like, Jonah Hex is actually a really old character, but this is sort of like, you know, a new series, and it's really good because if you buy this in the issues as opposed to the trades, each issue is a standalone Western story and has nothing to do with the DC universe. It's just a Western story about Jonah Hex, a badass cowboy with an ugly face. And I buy it in the trades because it's cheaper and it's awesome. I really can't go wrong. I mean, if you want to read awesome Western stories where the main character happens to be a guy with a fucked up face, this is pretty much where it's at. I could say this is like the best Western comic in print today. All right. You Can't Get There From Here by Jason.
Ah.
You can't get wrong with Jason.
Jason, I've never been disappointed by Jason. I think the best one is still Why Are You Doing This?
Why are you doing
Well,
this
in terms
really
of
good?
that one really got to me.
It is. But yeah, it's a Jason comic. I'm going to buy every single one of these until we have every single one of these. And whenever a new one comes out, going to buy that too.
They're fantastic.
And the last book, Rabbi's Cat 2.
I still got to read one.
I didn't even know this is coming. It came out of nowhere, right? This is by Joan Spar, the dungeon guy, also the klezmer guy, right? Rabbi's Cat 1 was like a billion Eisner Award winning awesome. And I didn't even know there was going to be a 2. I wish he would do klezmer 2. But yeah, so it came out of nowhere, and I said, how can I not order that? That's like not ordering it would be stupid. It was like automatic. So it is here. I'll read it and I'll see what the deal is. But it's kind of weird to think Rabbi's Cat 2. It's like Rabbi's Cat 1 was sort of a self-contained story. So I really, really wonder what's going on here. The cover is a little intriguing. Looks sort of like I don't know. We'll find out. What's going on with the rabbi and his cat.
So before we move on to the main bit,
That's Scott's box.
Scott's box
for the month.
But before we go on, I do have a quick news for anyone who lives in, I don't know, New York City, LA, or Seattle. Tokiwa Kakeru Shoujo, The Girl Who Lived Through Time, is being screened in all those cities this summer. I'll link to it because it's actually in June and August, so you'll forget if I say the dates now. But if you live in one of those cities, or Washington it looks like, then I'd recommend you check this movie out if you've never seen it. All right, things of the day. I guess Scott can go first for once.
So I found this awesome Flash game when I got home.
It's pretty awesome.
On Congregate. Congregate, if you don't know, it's pretty much the best site for Flash games, right? It has like a social network. It integrates with the Facebook. It's got a little chat room. It's good stuff. But it has achievements, which is the only bad part. So they got this new Flash game on there called Chronotron. And Chronotron is a game unlike no other game I've ever played. There might have been a game like it, but I never played it. Basically, the concept is this. It's a platform game. And in each map, each screen is it's only one screen. There's no scrolling, right? You control this robot. You can walk left and right, jump and duck. That's it. Every level, you come out of this blue door. It's sort of like a time elevator. You're the Chronotron, remember? So, of course, time is going to be an element. You go from the door, and there's a green button somewhere in the room. You have to touch that green button. Then you have to go back in the door. Sounds easy enough, right? Walk, touch the button, walk, get in the door. Right? Maybe jump over an obstacle. Well, the thing is, many of the obstacles are impossible to do because you only have one robot. Like, you'll have to step on a button to open a door and then also go in the door. But if you get off the button, the door closes. Classic Zelda puzzle, right? And how do you solve it in Zelda? You put a brick on the button. What if there's no brick to put on the button? Then what do you do?
Well, you're fucked.
You're fucked. Except in Chronotron. Because in Chronotron, it's very interesting. The way this works is you come out of the door. You step on the button. You wait. You go back in the door. When you go back in the door, you're traveling back in time to when you started the level. So you come out of the door, and you see your former self go and stand on the button. And now your current self, your present self, goes in, touches the button on the wall while your former self is holding the door open. Then you go back in the elevator. Then your former self goes back in the elevator. And poof, it takes you to the next level.
Now, the concept is absolutely amazing, but I feel like someone else is going to take this idea and make a game out of it.
Yeah, they definitely need to take it. It's basically a proof of concept. And it's a little flaky, but it's solid enough to be worth playing. And it's solid enough to make you go, wow, holy shit. Plus, there's some cool time paradox thingies that can happen. Like, go into the past, right? You have your past self walk to the left and walk to the right. Then you come into the future. Your past self walks to the left. Then when your past self walks to the right, you open up a door. Your past self falls in a hole, and you close your past self in there. Then you go back in the elevator. Time paradox.
So what happens?
I didn't actually try to do that because it said, do this to do a time paradox. And instead of doing that, I just beat the level. So I'm going to do it later and see what happens.
I can't believe you didn't do that. It's like
I didn't figure out
it's like in a choose your own adventure. The first thing you do is read all the awesome deaths.
Yeah. But anyway,
in Chrononauts, you go for that.
This is definitely a Flash game worth playing.
So, my thing of the day, actually, Emily showed us this, but it's related tangentially, I guess. You know, anime, manga, comics, anime. It's an animation. But this is called Evergreen, and it's a music video from Anaboom, and it's absolutely beautiful, and it's great in every way.
All right.
I don't really want to spoil anything. Just watch it. It's definitely worth clicking on and watching. It's not even that long.
Yep. Yeah, it's a high quality music video action. You know, why not watch it? You really got, something better to do with those 3 minutes?
Well, considering that pretty much whenever we don't have enough time to watch like a full movie or something, we'll sit down around the TV with the YouTubes and we'll pretty much drain the internet of everything good.
Yep, pretty much.
Of course, we have people like Emily who go to sites we don't go to, so they'll usually have like all the things that we never would have seen otherwise. Meanwhile, where does Scott go? College Humor, where I already went.
Yeah, I like College Humor. They seem to have pretty consistent quality.
I like College Humor a lot more than Dig.
That's for sure.
I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
So, Free Comic Book Day.
Yep, it was Free Comic Book Day, and as I've done for the past few Free Comic Book Days, I go down to the Dragon's Den.
Well, I guess up.
Yeah, up to the Dragon's Den, and unlike other comic book stores that put a limit on you, the limit at Dragon's Den is one. One each. You get one of every free comic that they still have in stock if you want. You can take, I guess some people don't take one of each, but I take one of everything. And my, was it a stack this year. And you know what? We didn't even get every free comic that we possibly could have gotten. I'm getting 5 free comic books, from Free Comic Book Day in the next Scott's box. And like at least 3 of them were not at the Dragon's Den. But you'll hear about them next month on Scott's box.
So I think we're just going to jump right into this and kind of take turns bringing them up.
Yeah, basically what we did is I read like a handful of these, then I sort of gave a couple of the ones that I read to Rim, and then we pretty much divided up the rest that I hadn't read. So a few of these we both read.
We had a draft.
Yeah, most of these only one of us have read, and we did a draft, which is sort of like, okay, you pick one, I pick one, you pick one, I pick one, so that we sort of had even quality, at least judging the books by their covers, we had even quality. So that way it wouldn't be like Scott reads all the awesome comics and Rim reads all the shit
so
comics.
I get to read what? NASCAR and Jughead.
You did hey, Jughead's not bad. Anyway.
We'll get to that.
We'll get to it. So we're gonna start.
Yeah, okay.
You want to start?
Hey, go ahead. Go ahead.
So the first comic I read, and we're probably going to do this in, I don't know, I sort of have mine in semi-quality order here.
Mine are in random order.
Maybe I'll shuffle mine up, but I'm going to start with Gumby. You read the Gumby?
I read the Gumby.
Yeah, the Eisner, Gumby actually won an Eisner Award for Best Kids Comic, and I read this Gumby, and now I see why. I mean, This isn't like the same as the Gumby that I remember watching on TV as a kid. It's definitely way different than that, right? But it's really cute and sort of, how like Powerpuff Girls would sometimes have jokes that only adults will get and kids won't get, like Mojo Jojo locked in jail with Bubba. Only kids won't get that joke, but adults go, oh man. This Gumby has a lot of that kind of stuff going on, and this is also a coloring book, and I kind of feel like coloring it in.
I don't know. This is one that I also read, and it was okay, but it had a little bit. It reeked of SpongeBob humor, just a little bit. Seems like most of that. Well, at least this one, maybe not other Gumby, but this one. There was a lot of that kind of yay.
There was a bit of yay, but and those parts were kind of eh.
There was really,
but there were also some funny parts, like
there were 2 good jokes. There was one really good joke.
There's the one with the crayons,
where he finds the crayons in the thing, and then how he reacts to that. That was actually really funny.
The ending, I think, was lame though. The ending was way lame.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. Actually, in the back, there's these 2 really good, pinups. One is, Gumby, but he's King Kong, and the other one is, Gumby, but he's Sinbad, and he's fighting a skeleton.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd ever read any more Gumby.
No, it's a kid's comic. I'm not actually suggesting read.
I think there are better kids comics, too. It was just...
I don't know if there's better. There's not that many better kids comics.
It's just there was a little too much of that SpongeBob in there. I really don't like that SpongeBob.
I actually don't know what I know there is a SpongeBob and it's a popular kids show, but I've never watched it, so I don't know about it.
I saw 2 episodes.
Except I know the song because when you go to minor league hockey games in Bridgeport, they play the song fucking every game. It's really annoying.
Right, so
that's the end of Gumby.
Transformers animated is garbage.
Okay.
I can't even. First off, I'm not going to nitpick here, but you look on the front cover, right? And all the proportions are kind of off, and it looks kind of weird. But one guy's I don't know who this bot is, but he's big and green. I don't know if they just like ripped this straight
What kind of car does he look like?
It doesn't look like a car at all.
Okay.
He's big and green, and his head looks like it's flat and squashed up against him.
Is that Ironhide maybe? Does
I
it look
don't
like
know.
a Humvee?
The shadows, like it's awful. Like it looks
I can't
like they
see
kind
it
of
from here.
pretty much what I think they did is they took the animated show and they kind of made an animanga from it. That's what it looks like. Because there's a lot of every time there's an action scene, it kind of just cuts to this overview where someone like a ray of energy shoots out of the Allspark directly into her Dogbot chewed keycard and changes it into something spectacular. But the sound had drawn the attention of Optimus Prime. And it's awful. It's absolutely awful. It looks terrible. It looks like they poorly ripped like screenshots from a cartoon, threw them together into a comic, put some bad dialogue in, and hit done.
I've read a few of the Transformers comics, but some of the more serious ones.
Oh, those are a lot better than
I
this.
read like Spotlight Shockwave, and that was okay. Spotlight Soundwave was also okay.
This also just doesn't make any sense. It's like people are talking, and then they're in a factory.
Well, I mean, a few free comic book days ago, they had that one that was like the Pokemon Transformers.
That was
where it's
better.
like capture all the mini-cons or whatnot.
But, like, they're talking, and then they're in a factory, and then suddenly there's a giant ant larva, and then suddenly the Autobots are fighting the giant ant larva, and it just goes, it doesn't make sense, and Optimus Prime has a really, really, really narrow waist.
Uh-huh.
I have nothing else to say about that comic. That was not worth my time.
Okay. Let's see here. I read the Dark Horse Hellboy free comic book day. Now, the only Hellboy I actually know is, like, the movie, which I don't remember why I saw it, but I saw it back at RIT. Now, actually, you open up, and in the front page of this comic, there's a mashup of Hellboy and Futurama characters that is pretty awesome.
Not bad.
Not bad. So already we're off to a good start. Then we get sort of like this Hellboy comic that's actually like, it's like maybe 10 or so pages, and it's a complete story beginning to end. But the ending was a little meh. But, the art was really good. But story-wise, there wasn't a lot. I mean, I don't know how much you can do in so few pages, but it didn't really sort of introduce me to Hellboy or give me an idea if I'm going to like Hellboy comics or not. It just sort of told me Hellboy comics have good art, which I guess is a good thing. And then there were two more stories in here, right, that are not Hellboy, but they're by Mike Mignola, who's the Hellboy guy. The first one was called Out of Reach, right? And this seemed kind of interesting, like the characters and some of what was going on. It's about like this robot kind of person, and they don't really, and there's some sort of military group or they're on a mission, but the robot gets left behind for some reason, and it's not too happy about it. But then it's just sort of contrived. It's like, oh, where did the knife go? Well, obviously the robot has it. The end. Okay. And the third story was Bishop Olek's Devil, which was sort of a standard Lovecraftian sort of Necronomicon story. And I kind of like this little story here. It's pretty much, hey, there's a guy, and, we're going to check out what's going on in his mansion. Oh, he's old and sick, and he wants us to take his scary book. Let's not take his scary book just yet. Oh, what's that noise we hear at night? Oh, look, there's a horrible monster that rapes him, like, every night. Let's take the book away. Oh, look, now the monster's coming to rape me because it rapes whoever has the book every night. This is just great. And it's pretty much, if you get the book, you get awesome powers from having the book, but this monster will rape you every night. So
Literally?
Somewhat literally, yes.
That sounds like a bad fanfic.
No, but it's pretty cool Lovecraftian kind of action.
Oh, I like the Lovecraftian. I'm dubious of this whole rape element.
I'm not sure if it's raping, but it does something to you every night that's quite unpleasant. I mean, it's like a giant starfish kind of monster, only with hands on the end of its stars.
That's just great.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I like this Lovecraft stuff, so of course I'm going to like that.
So speaking of something I like,
and that's all that we got.
Walt Disney's Gyro Gear Loose.
Oh, I wanted that one. You got to give me that so I can
You know
read
what?
it.
It's pretty much just more Scrooge McDuck, but it follows Gyro Gear Loose, who is kind of dopey, absent-minded professor.
I always kind of liked him on DuckTales.
Yeah, I liked him a lot on DuckTales. Was he the one who actually made the that mecha duck whatever?
I think he did make was it Gizmo Duck?
Yeah, Gizmo Duck.
I think he made the Gizmo Duck, but that other guy wore the Gizmo
because
Duck.
he accidentally said the word that no one was supposed to say.
Exactly.
I forget what the word was. Suffering.
I liked Gizmo Duck, but I didn't like the guy in it when he wasn't in it.
Well, because he was lame and milquetoast.
I know.
Which was kind of the point. The one thing I got to say about Gyro is that
It was just a RoboCop parody.
his little light bulb robot dude is a lot smarter than he is.
Oh yeah, of course, I love that guy.
I love that guy too.
Yeah.
But this is, if you like that Scrooge McDuck action, which you probably should, this is pretty good.
Yeah, Disney Comics, like you might think, Disney Comics. Disney Comics are probably the only good Disney thing there still is. I mean, all I ever wanted from Disney, right? I was like, Disney, you have Mickey Mouse fucking everywhere. When was the last time you actually made a Mickey Mouse movie? What, fucking Prince and the Pauper, right? Bring it on. Where are the fucking Mickey Mouse movies? What the fuck?
I never expected a diatribe in feeling, please make more Mickey Mouse movies to be so infused with the word fuck.
Exactly. So the place to get the Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck real Disney stories is in the comics. They don't animate them anymore because they suck. But the comics are still good. And if you like, watching like old quality Disney animations with the actual Disney characters, then you'll like Disney Comics, especially if it's a Scrooge or Duck story that is by Carl Barks or by Don Rosa. Those are like the best ones. All right, let's see. We got From the Pages of Wizard, the comics magazine, which is already, you can see this is going downhill. How to Draw. And as someone who can't draw, I'm not sure if this is telling me how to draw a good way or a bad way. And this really doesn't seem like it's going to be this free comic book anyway is going to be a big help in teaching how to draw. It's mostly an advertisement for you to buy the actual how to draw books that they sell. And as teaching me how to draw, I've tried a few how to draw things in my day. None of them have been very helpful, but that just might be my fault. But when I look at this, there's a lot of really cool, like, pencil art in here by real comic creators, right? And you look at it, and I always, with at least superhero comic art especially, you look at the pencils, and these days, it feels like back in the day that the pencils would be sort of rough and the inking would be like the full real deal. But nowadays, it seems like the people doing the penciling are like going full on, and the inkers really are more tracers than they used to be, even though they're not totally tracers, and not all of them are. So, when you look at pencil art, I think the pencil art these days is better than the finished art, and I wish that they would just have the guys do the pencils and then print that instead of, coloring over it. Because whenever I look at, like, original pencils for, like, modern superhero comics, I say, holy shit, that's amazing. Why did the comic look like shit when the actual printed one? And this is full of a lot of that pencil art that I like so much. And I want to sort of tie something else into this, which is the other free comic book by Dynamite, which is The Death-Defying Devilman. Now,
DDD
Devilman. I thought this Devilman would sort of be, the Go-Nagai Devilman.
You really expected it to be the Go-Nagai Devilman.
It's not the Go-Nagai Devilman, and I wonder if there's some sort of lawsuit that's going to happen. But what this is, and actually I didn't realize it, is Alex Ross, the amazing Kingdom Come Marvel's art guy, right, who does the super painting comics. He has this project called Project Superpowers, which sort of is taking all these old Golden Age characters and putting them together in like one story, and sort of doing a thing. But now it seems like I bought the first or zero issue of that, and it was pretty bad. I didn't realize this goes along with that. This is sort of like the same thing, but it's the story of like concentrating on the Devilman character in that. And this is also pretty bad and sort of lame. But what really gets me about this is I remember when I read that Project Superpowers thing, right, is they had in there, like, the pencils from the art, and the pencils were amazing, and the actual art in this book looks sort of average. And, I mean, Alex Ross isn't doing the art, but he's doing the plot, cover, and art direction, and I think that he should just fire the colorist and the inker and just have the pencils be printed directly, and I would buy this just for the art if they did that, but oh well, it's just a bleh superhero comic that really sort of, I think, would only appeal to people who have Golden Age superhero comic nostalgia.
So, to get away from Golden Age superhero nostalgia at all, Sonic the Hedgehog. Now,
You got the Sonic comic.
there are a lot of Sonic comics.
Sonic comics are real popular.
Well, I like Sonic the Hedgehog. I like him and all his friends.
He's all right.
But, so, let me take you through this. Page 1, Dr. Robotnik has a rope around Sonic's neck and hangs him.
Yes. Sweet.
Panel 2, while he's choking to death, he yells at him. And in panel 3, he kills him.
All right.
Then it turns out it was just a piñata. And let me tell you, this is like the worst comic of the lot.
Oh,
It's
really? Worse than the NASCAR Heroes?
While it might have sounded, I don't know, funny or weird, it's drawn really, really badly.
Well,
it's not like other Sonics are drawn really well. This is drawn in that kind of super cheap, super off model, no backgrounds, like just really, really, it's awful.
That's sad.
And the story is dumb, and it's even for a little kid. I can't imagine a little kid enjoying this at all.
No. All right, we need to pick up the pace here, I think, a little bit.
Do we?
Yeah.
All right.
I went a little long with the last one. All right, so we got Bongo Comics Free for All. You might be thinking, what the hell's Bongo Comics? Bongo is the Simpsons Futurama type comics of awesome. Now, it's funny because I don't buy any Simpsons or Futurama comics, right? But every year I read the free comic book of it, and I really like it. And this year, more than ever before. And the best thing about this year's Simpsons comic offering is that this actually helps me figure out like what Simpsons comics are published. It's like there's a Simpsons comic monthly, there's a Bart Simpson bi-monthly, there's a Futurama comics bi-monthly, there's a Simpsons Super Spectacular that's bi-annual, there's a Simpsons Treasure Trove that's going to be digest-sized coming this summer, 64 pages each. So, like, this teaches me about all the different Simpsons comic buying options. And I'm thinking, I like this. I like Simpsons. I might actually be buying some Simpsons comics soon. And the best part, actually, is at the end of this thing, there's a Simpsons manga parody that does a manga-style Simpsons called called Bartamu. And all you need to know is looking at the first page, and it's like anime style and Bart like hitting a baseball while Nelson the catcher is like, wind from swing is like kamikaze, so mighty is its presumption. And then comic book guy, the umpire, is taking off his mask and he says, best hit ever.
Huh.
Yeah, it's I like this action. I think I might be buying. Maybe I'll get those digest size Simpsons Treasure Trove. That looks pretty good.
All right, so I don't think I need to say this is good, but Atomic Robo is fantastic. I don't think you understand how up my alley Atomic Robo is.
I got all 6 issues of it in the other room.
Plus, remember, Atomic Robo, in case any of you forgot, is by Brian Clevenger, the 8-Bit Theater guy. And let me tell you, 8-Bit Theater, I feel like what that guy did is he made 8-Bit Theater, and he learned a lot about characterization and, like, how to make a good comic and good characters from it.
He definitely has the writing skills. I still want to read his freaking Atomic Age or whatever it's called.
So he took everything he learned from that and from other things he's done, and Atomic Robo is just great. There's a little bit of Black Mage in Atomic Robo.
I think there's a little bit of like a lot of characters in Atomic Robo. He's sort of an Indiana Jones, Spider-Man, Black Mage robot.
A little bit of Batman too.
A little Batman too, yeah.
I love the look.
A little Dr. McNinja
the
action.
expressions
Dr. McNinja
on
is
his
also
face are priceless.
Even though he's a robot who has no expressions.
But he does.
I know, right? God, the art in Atomic Robo is like amazing. I first saw the real art at Kineticon because they were sitting next to the Apple Geeks table and they showed me the art. He had like a hole in his big portfolio. Oh my God. Atomic Robo is like so great.
Irrespective of any of the other Atomic Robos, this one, the free comic book day one, a complete story start to finish, is great.
Yeah, I'm definitely got to read that. It's the only Atomic Robo I haven't read.
It's about a Soviet madman.
Oh, that's not in the 6 issues, so
it's really good.
I got to get my hands on that.
And I like how it ends.
All right.
Now, also in this, they included Neozoic, which obviously
that's another thing published by Red 5 Comics.
Yep, obviously they're trying to promote it. It's okay. It's kind of like well-drawn, but kind of generic fantasy. But fantasy with a little bit of a high-tech edge, so I'll have to read more before I pass judgment. But I kind of like it.
You want me to order you some Neozoic?
Yeah, why not? I kind of like it.
All right.
I don't know if it'll be good.
I'll see if there's a trade or something. I'll order for you.
It does the thing that I always get a little irked when dragons are just like dumb animals as opposed to the awesome things they are in D&D. But
yeah,
it's got
you get
kind of
spoiled on those dragons, and
yeah, I'm used to a gold dragon, but this
see, I think the balance is to have the really smart dragons, but have them be really rare. But then because everyone likes seeing dragons all the time, you should have like dumb worm type creatures that people can fly around
like
on.
lindworms.
Exactly.
Lindworms don't have wings though; you can't really fly on them.
Whatever.
But anyway, they're both pretty good.
Okay.
Red 5 just seems to be busting out.
Yeah, Red 5 is like relatively new publisher, relatively high quality. All right. Tiny Titans.
I almost liked Teen Titans. I decided I didn't, but it took me 2 episodes of the show to realize I didn't like it.
My problem with Tiny Titans is that I don't know the Teen Titans at all. Like, I know Robin, all right? And I can kind of tell by looking at them, like, okay, that's Kid Flash, and that's Kid Aqua Kid, and that's Little Wonder Woman, and that's, Little Green Arrow guy, but he's red. But then it's like, okay, Robot Dude, Green Kid, it's like Wonder Woman girl with blonde hair, girl who is the same color as like an X-Men Sentinel, little devil guy, and girl with an X on her chest. So I don't know who any of them are. But that didn't seem to matter because the art in this was just really cute. And it was really silly. But some of the jokes I didn't get because I didn't know the characters. Like, there's one joke where it's like, oh, we're going to have a substitute principal today. It's Mr. Slade. Hello, students. And then one girl in the class is like, my dad's the principal? It's so embarrassing. But I didn't know who the girl was or who the dad was, so I didn't laugh. But the second one is the green kid, who I learned is Beast Boy. And he goes and gets a dog. And the dog won't play with him. But then he turns into a green dog because he has turning into a dog powers. And then it's happy, cute, yay!
Yay!
So I like that action. Then the next one I also liked. It was a funny story with like, Robin. And he's like, hey, your name is Speedy. Can you run fast? No, I shoot arrows. Then the Flash Kid is right behind him. So he's like, hey, Flash Kid. And the Flash Kid looks like, yep.
Okay, that's kind of lame. I'm sorry.
I like that joke.
I'm sorry. Maybe describing it doesn't quite do it justice.
No, it doesn't. It's pretty much just cute and happy, and there's some jokes about wearing jeans and playing with dolls.
All right. So, Broken Trinity Prelude. I had a bit of trouble trying to figure out what the hell this was about, to be honest. There's a lot of words, and the art was kind of generic, and then at the end it looked like it was just Witchblade, but if I had one thing to say about
People
this...
actually say the new Witchblade comic is not like Witchblade.
All right. So I'm looking at a big spread about the Witchblade comic, and if one thing summed up like the selling points of it based on this promotional picture, it is tits. She has gigantic breasts, like to the point that they stand out painfully. 2, nipples are exposed through the shirt, which is unnecessary. 3, she's grabbing one of them, and she's, like, squeezing it, and I don't know what kind of consistency this thing has, but she has put quite a dent into it. It is surprising. It does not look comfortable. I don't think Witchblade is good. I think it's just big tits.
Well, my theory, I have a thinking going on now. It's like, okay, if something has lots of boobs in it, right? They made a conscious decision to put those boobs there, right? If the thing you have, your comic, your anime, or whatever, is good, why would you put boobs in it? That would only cheapen it, right?
Well,
it can't
remember,
enhance it.
The only possibility is they're pulling a Shiro.
Right. That's the best case scenario, and that's still
I've got to trick people into reading my philosophy in sci-fi. I'm going to put jiggly butts.
All right.
And then around the jiggly butts will be science fiction.
Okay.
But the other thing, all the art in this is just that kind of fantasy art I hate of like semi-naked women with chainmail bikinis straddling swords with snakes around their necks. It's just crap.
All right. Del Rey and Dabble Brothers 2008 preview. Now, this is one of those, I hate these because they do these on Free Comic Book Day. Instead of actually giving you like a whole bunch of one comic where you can sort of get your teeth into it and decide if you like it or not, they give you like a tiny bit of a bunch of different comics, so if you have no idea what they're about or if they're good or not, right? So we've got, let's see, Dresden Files, Wild Cards, Frankenstein, and In God We Trust. So this is Jim Butcher, George R. R. Martin, Dean Koontz, and Dean Koontz.
Dean Koontz.
Yeah.
I used to read a lot of Dean Koontz novels as a kid.
Basically, what we've got here is we've got people making comics based on, books and TV shows or whatever in order to try to get sales. It's like a licensed property deal, right?
I wonder if they'll ever get together and just make a comic about strangers, which was an okay novel Dean Koontz wrote, except for the fact that the end is the stupidest thing ever.
Anyway, the Dresden Files one makes no sense. Scott Johnson had to explain it to me. Wild Cards. Completely lame. All I got from it was it's sort of like X-Men, only the mutants are ugly. Then we got Frankenstein. A sort of Frankenstein story that's sort of got a little B-shonen twist on it, but the art is all sort of ugly. It's a little And then the In God We Trust, actually, the art is sort of like this black and white manga styling, like U.S. sort of mix-up kind of thing. And this could actually, regardless of the art, the story seemed a little bit like a Silence of the Lambs-ish kinds of story almost, and I don't know, I'm a little intrigued by it. I don't know if I'll buy it, but it's a little, maybe it's got something to it. Maybe. We'll check it out. I like some of the characters in it.
All right, so real quick, Jughead, generic Archie comic. It's there's really nothing there, but if you like that sort of thing.
Yep.
Amelia Rules I don't think I would read it. This is definitely aimed at kids. There's not much for, anyone over the age of 12 to get out of it, but I feel like it's not that bad for a certain demographic of 10 to 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
It's an okay, solid story. Touches on issues a little bit, doesn't get too deep into it. I don't know what the deal is with all these other Amelia Rules things, because halfway through, near the end, it cuts to all these photographs, and I don't get it, but I think there's a lot of other Amelia Rules stuff that I don't know about, since I'm not really connected to the current Nickelodeon generation.
Yeah, is that even a Nickelodeon thing?
I don't think so. But
I don't even know what Amelia Rules is.
I don't know either. All I know is it's okay.
Okay.
It's a kid's thing.
So check it out. I got this one, Graphic Classics. And this is actually really cool because it's free, but it's a lot of pages, and there's almost no ads. There's basically no ads in it except for itself. And what this is you got a story by Poe, a story by Bierce, a story by Lord Dunsany.
I like Poe.
A story by Conan Doyle, and a story by Mary Shelley. But these aren't stories that most people are likely to know. And they took short stories by these people, and they just made comics to those stories. And the best one is the Ambrose Pierce one about the diet called Diagnosis with the monkey and the oyster. It's one page and it's the best one. But the rest of it, the stories are quality, and there's different artists on each story, and they some of the art I think is better than some of the other art, but definitely not a jip. They could have charged me money for this. And actually, they got the ads for all their other graphic classics. And I'm thinking, maybe I'll get the fantasy classics, or maybe just like the H.G. Wells ones or something like that. See what's up.
Right, so Worlds of Aspen. I'm not entirely sure what the hell this was. I think it's a whole bunch of different comics by
Aspen is a publisher that does a whole bunch of fantasy-ish kind of things, right?
Yeah, because two of them are written by the same guy, and if you open it, it starts with 3 bikini girls, so I think they're, again, trying to target a certain demographic. The art's good, but the first story, there were too few pages. I have no idea what it's about, so that was useless. It's called Fathom. The second one, Soulfire, was also too short to figure out what was going on, and was kind of generic.
It's just like that Dabble Brothers one. They give you a whole bunch of stuff, but each one is too short. They should give you one big one and then forget the others.
The third one's just really dumb. It doesn't make any sense. It's called Shrugged. I don't even want to bother trying to explain what it's about. And the last one is super stereotypical and kind of annoying to read. It's basically, what if we made a comic about a woman who is just as badass as Oren Ishii, and we had every possible Chinese triad stereotype in the world.
All right.
It's dumb, and it ends with nakedness.
Okay, so for Free Comic Book Day, DC thought it would be a good idea, instead of making a new comic, to just reprint All-Star Superman #1 and put that out as a free comic. And I've never read All-Star Superman #1, so I read it. It's a pretty much average Superman story with really good arts, because it's Frank Quietly and his arts are really awesome. But other than that, it's sort of like a generic Superman story. Lex Luthor's bad, he's coming to get you.
I gotta go back to Worlds of Aspen. I forgot. I read this on the train, and I was like, there's no way I can go with... The writing is awful. I'm going to quote something a character is saying, and see if you can point out the grammatical problem here.
All right.
Release the boy. relinquish the box of which you hold and turn yourself in. Of which, what the fuck? Sorry, I couldn't let that slide. That was bullshit right there. But speaking of bad comics, here's another one. A lot of these comics, they kind of start in the middle of a story, don't tell you what's going on, and are just really generic. Like, they don't stand out. But Salem, Queen of Thorns, is about one badass Puritan, a bunch of lame Puritans, and a bunch of evil Puritans who all work for the church.
So what does it think of? Does it say good or bad things about Puritans?
I can't tell. Obviously, the Salem witch trials are bad, but I don't know why there are Crusader Knights, because I don't think there were Crusader Knights in America in Puritan times. I think it's going for that, check it out, we're dark and we're full of religious symbolism. Oh man, look how dark and brooding our main character is.
We're gonna mix fantasy and history together. Oh no.
Yeah, I think we gotta move along here.
Yeah, we do. So let's do this X-Men one that we both read.
All right.
Basically, you had here a one-shot X-Men story. And the actual X-Men themselves, the characters you know and love, weren't in it that much. And actually, they have the ugly cat beast I don't like. But it was really a story about, one girl who's a mutant, and she has her, troubled mutant life. And that's really where X-Men stories have always shined, I think. You got your Kitty Pryde, your Jubilee. So
Kitty Pryde. Scott Johnson's having a fit right now.
All right. So this is just sort of like one of those stories executed in a really good and modern way with very high-quality arts. And it was decent. It wasn't amazing, but it was good stuff. And it kind of makes me wish that X-Men comics were just all like this, as opposed to the way they are, which is unreadable.
Yeah, because, I enjoyed it. It was pretty good. Had a couple of corny moments, but it was pretty good.
Had some corny moments in it, like when the X-Men showed up with their,
But I'll say this, I liked it, and I liked the style of art. Now, as opposed to Iron Man and Hulk and Spider-Man versus...
Oh, God,
and they fight Mandarin, and it starts out with a page explaining Mandarin's rings and what they all do.
What do they all do?
Oh, and Ant-Man is also in it.
Doesn't Ant-Man, actually get really big?
Yeah, well, he starts out little.
Yeah.
It's really, really cheesy. And I guess if you like that sort of thing...
that's actually... The X-Men, which is Marvel, straight up, that is Marvel Adventures, so it's meant for kids.
Yeah, I guess it wasn't bad. It was just not up my alley necessarily. There's one good part where they're all about to fight, and then Spider-Man's like, wait, no! And then everyone kind of stops fighting. They're like, what's going on? And he's like, all right, guys, we're in this ancient world of wonder of the world temple, and the Hulk's here. So I don't think I want to be responsible for destroying it. Can we all just agree to walk outside and then start fighting again? And then they all go outside and fight.
That's the reason I like Spider-Man, is because of shit like that. That's why, that's what makes Spider-Man comics good, is when Spider-Man has that attitude on most of the time.
But the Hulk is just dumb. But I don't know. I like the Mandarin. I kind of was rooting for him because
you like the Mandarin. You like the Mandarin in Marvel Team Up also.
Well, because he's evil. He's not stupid.
I think you're a Mandarin man.
I think I am. I like
Maybe
it.
I should go.
You know why? Because much like Jafar, he sneers, and he sneers in this way that is very endearing to me.
Maybe we'll have to go get you a copy of Best of the Mandarin if such a thing exists.
All right, but let's move along here. Dan Dare is crap. I don't get it. I don't like it. It's really, really lame and kind of it takes itself way too seriously for what's going on.
All right.
I only say that because I've actually received multiple Dan Dares from the publisher before, ever since I got on this press mailing list from, being at the New York Comic Con. They keep sending me these Dan Dare comics. None of them are good.
Yeah, people were talking those up, but Rims doesn't like them. I'll have to check.
You should read them.
I'll read that one. I'm not going to read the other one.
It's just, it could be okay, but the art is generic. It takes itself way too seriously. And Dan Dare has got kind of this, look at me, I'm perfect, and I'm going to save everybody all the time.
All right. I got here, Comics Go Hollywood. Now, what this is not actually a comic. It's by Tomorrow's Publishing, and if you're looking for sort of a highbrow alternative to Wizard Magazine, Tomorrow's is where it's at. If you want to learn shit about comics and get high quality, real interviews and awesome arts and all that sort of stuff in a black and white magazine, Tomorrow's provides tenfold. And what this is a little tiny magazine in the Tomorrow's style that contains a bunch of articles relating to, comics and Hollywood together and TV and movies and all that stuff. They talk about, the people who are animating some, DC New Frontier DVDs. They talk with Jeff Loeb about something. They talk about the X-Men movie that might have been made in 1984 but didn't actually get made. They talk about like the history of the art style of the Joker, and it's pretty interesting, and it was really wordy and is pretty impressive for something that's free. And Tomorrow's usually puts out highbrow stuff. I just don't read it because I don't care enough to actually read a magazine about this kind of thing all the time.
All right, I got like 4 more here, and I feel
got
like we
3
should,
more.
I feel like we should just wrap it up.
We should just wrap it up.
Let's just give like the plus or like the hey for the rest of them, and I got one I want to talk about.
Okay.
So The Stranded, kind of generic, modern fantasy-ish. It looked pretty cool. Actually, it wasn't that bad. Love and Capes was just really not up my alley at all. I guess if you're into superheroes, but I didn't like it. It's like superheroes but living normal lives, but they're all still superheroes all the time, and one guy wants to
So like top 10?
One guy wants to ask, like he's Superman, he wants to ask this girl to marry him, but I don't know.
All right.
I got very little to say about it. Gekiga is Gekiga. You should read Gekiga.
Yeah, actually, that was originally, they were going to misspell the title. They were going to call it Gegika, and then I guess they corrected it, which
I guess
pleases
someone
me.
told him.
All that is a preview. If you don't know if you want to read the Yoshihiro Tatsumi drawn and quarterly real Gekiga stuff, that will let you know if you want to read it or not. Okay.
But you should.
Of course you should. Okay, what do I got here? I got an entertaining EC comic sampler. EC Comics, they used to publish like all the pulp comics way back in the day. We're talking like, Crypt Keeper type stuff, right? And basically like Tales from the Crypt and Weird Science. EC was who published all those. And Gemstone, which are the people who published the Disney comics, are publishing the EC Comics. And this is a sampling of some EC Comics. And I like EC Comics a lot more than I thought I would, and maybe I'll buy some trades or hardcovers or something of some Weird Science, because I'm liking that action. Very Twilight Zone-ish, pulpish kind of stuff. Ape Entertainment's Cartoon Palooza. Yeah, this is just like really bad cartoons in comic form. Like, like those kids' cartoons, but like the art is sort of bad and of course, the art on the final one, the Ursula Wilde, was actually pretty good. That was probably the only thing worth reading in here. Everything else in here was just sort of like bleh and whatever. And then the last thing I got is Kid Houdini and the Silver Dollar Misfits. This was a little bit better than some of the other ones in terms of, kid stuff. But the art was really it didn't really grab me. And the plot was sort of like this really generic and obvious of, there's a bunch of misfit kids stuck at the evil carnival. In the back, there was actually this other story about like, kids and their like detective agency of checking out, cryptozoology, whatever. And the art in that was actually really cute, but the story was lame. And that's all I got.
To end this, because I'm really hungry.
I'm also really hungry.
NASCAR Heroes.
Oh, I forgot that it was.
Now,
we thought we were done.
I thought this would be about like people who are NASCAR racers, and it seemed like that was what it was going to be about. And then there was this ghost of a NASCAR driver who had died, and he's like a headless NASCARsman. And
that sounds pretty cool.
No,
imagine if like Ayrton Senna
came.
Look
at the track. Look at that. This makes no sense.
I mean, if you wrote a comic about like the ghost of Ayrton Senna coming and beating Michael Schumacher, that would be awesome.
But it wasn't that. It made no sense. And then in the end, he falls into this alligator pit and he beats the alligators up. And then like the plot finishes for the story. And I was thinking, wait a minute, how'd he beat the alligators up? They kind of mentioned that he has superpowers. And then after the comic, they have a little kind of preview explanation of, yes, this comic is actually about NASCAR drivers with superpowers.
If you have superpowers, why would you drive NASCAR?
I'm going to read for you the introduction, the yellow text. NASCAR, a sport not like no other. 800 horsepower driving action. A sport like no other, with fans like no other.
There's a lot of other 800 horsepower
Sure, being a janitor, I got
action.
picked on, even pushed around by him. Jack Diesel. He was the hottest driver in NASCAR. Not very nice, as I would find out later. He was a very bad man. Less successful
It was a very bad man. It says that.
were my friends on the flat stock racing crew, Gus, Zip, Ed. Now, these guys are so generic.
Gus, talk about a mechanic's name of stereotyping.
He was the mechanic, and
my God.
Zip was the engineer, and Ed is like the pit crew guy. They had just lost their driver to another team.
I thought, like,
their
I
boss,
saw-
Aster Shockington, said that the next race would be their last.
I mean, I
chance.
saw that we had NASCAR heroes. I knew that would sort of like be the the shitty kid in class who gets picked last for the kickball team.
I don't think you realize where this is going.
I didn't think it would be that bad.
I don't think you realize. I haven't gotten that yet.
Oh, God.
I point out that there's a bunch of typos here.
Oh, God.
I felt bad for my friends who might lose their job, and for me, because Aster Barley knew I was alive. That would soon change. Okay, that doesn't make any sense.
I don't get it.
And there was a bunch of typos there I had to read over. Everything would change. I stumbled upon Diesel as he experimented with what seemed to be an illegal fuel source. And it shows him in a lab holding up this beaker and like going,
if he has superpowers, wouldn't he be better off with
he doesn't have superpowers yet.
With a bicycle-powered car?
But you got to see this picture. Jack Diesel is
where you
holding
could
up
just
this
pedal
beaker.
faster than the engines
and he's
could go?
looking up at it with that scientist look. And there's this evil-looking Doberman just kind of watching him.
Uh-huh.
Maybe this was his secret to winning all those races. As I looked closer, Diesel dropped the mysterious substance, dropped to the floor.
What?
As I looked closer, Diesel dropped the mysterious substance, dropped to the floor.
Oh, my God. Did a NASCAR fan write this?
The results were explosive. Ding! I was thrown across the compound.
Can you please spare me any more pain?
But was completely unhurt. In fact, when I woke
Are
up
we out of time?
and heard cries for help, I realized I'd never felt better. I was faster, stronger. Best of all, I was a hero.
Are you done?
As it turned out, that explosion had affected us all. Gus was super strong. Zip could zip. And Ed could duplicate himself over an hour. We all had superpowers. Later, Aster's electric personality would pour over into her own superpowers. Jag Diesel, we found out, had acquired the most powers of all and had plans to use those powers to cheat in the NASCAR Sprint Cup
Yes,
Series.
powers. He's going to cheat at NASCAR.
His eyes are like on fire.
If my eyes are
I
on
couldn't
fire...
let that happen. The explosion had also enhanced my natural driving abilities. So I donned the flat stock fire suit and helmet
Wait, that's a
and took on
superpower?
the new
Driving?
identity, Jimmy Dash. It goes on. This was awful.
It sounds like, though, it's so awful that it has some qualities in laughing at the awfulness.
No, it does not. It was much more funny with me reading. You do not want to read that. That is the worst comic of Free Comic Book Day. And it's time to go make some bacon.
Do you want to have sort of a Free Comic Book Day verdict?
I don't know. I feel like a lot of companies just do it because they have to.
They don't have to. It's completely up to them.
But they feel like they have to for marketing purposes.
Well, they should. It's good marketing if you do it right. I think the problem is that companies don't do it right.
I think we should talk about Free Comic Book Day as a concept on another night.
All right, we'll do it.
Time to make some bacon. Good night, Internet. This has been Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music.
Be sure to visit our website at www.frontrowcrew.com, where you'll find show notes, links, our awesome forum, a link to our Frapper map, and links to all the RSS feeds.
We say feeds plural because Geeknights airs 4 nights a week, covering 4 different brands of geekery. Mondays are science and technology. Tuesdays, we have video games, board games, and RPGs. Wednesdays are anime, manga, comic nights. And Thursdays are the catch-alls for various rants and tomfoolery.
You can send us feedback by email to geeknights@frontrowcrew.com. Or you can send audio feedback via Odeo. Just click the link that says Send Me an Odeo on the right side of our website.
If you like what you hear, you can catch the last 100 episodes in iTunes or in your favorite podcatcher. For the complete archives, visit the website, which has everything.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike 2.5 license. This means you can do whatever you want with it as long as you give us credit, don't make money, and share it in kind. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.